Well, hello everybody. My name Christopher Nowalkin. This is the Dirty Nerdy Show, and today, in sort of a continuation from TingleCon, we have one of the panelists from TingleCon who was just tremendous and even stepped in to a panel with me and really helped me save the day. Uh, and she's just really sweet and we really connected during the con, and I wanted to bring her on. I thought she was super cool. Guys, give it up for Equinox Audio. What up?
You hype me so much, and then I'm just like, but it's a me. Hi everyone, it's Equinox, and like Chris said, I am kind of here as a continuation of his and I's antics during TingleCon, which I'm pretty sure gave quite a few people some giggles.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Now I know that TinkleCon was a few weeks ago. Um, Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Gives you an idea of when this is coming out. Um, but it was so fun, and there's still so much about you that I want to learn that we didn't get to touch upon in the panels. So let's just start from the beginning. How did you get into audios?
I got into audios back in 2009 when I found my first Whisper video uh on YouTube back when it was still the Whisper community.
Oh yeah, old school.
And I listened to him forever, and then I finally, mind you, hit 18 a year later and started going to sites like Literotica and whatnot and listening to stuff on there. And through that, I found a couple of the artists that I've listened to this day, although one of them has quit doing audio now. And I kept listening, and things happened in my life that made me kind of yearn for the connection that I felt with some of these audio artists, like, because I knew it was a one-sided thing. Like, I felt comfort from them and they were giving it freely, and that was great. And so, I just decided to hell with it, we're going to try this, because I'd already done voice acting prior and I'd already done some radio stuff. So I was like, let's just see how this goes, and here I am.
That's super cool. I forgot all about Literotica. Is that still a thing?
It is actually. I've been told to post some of my stuff on there, and I'm just like, yeah, no.
I forgot
I
all about
post
that
to
site.
Reddit on purpose.
No, I feel you. I feel you. So when did you start your actual YouTube channel?
I originally started YouTube in December of 2018. I posted my first video in January. However, it was under a name that at the time I thought was something that I was really going to like. And then um, personal situations in my life changed, and I realized that I had kind of been trying to force this persona on myself, this sort of darker, more deeper persona, because I like to write and act more bittersweet, real to life. Like, a lot of my stuff has that moment where, it's not perfect. You're not always going to not have fights. Like, some of my GFE stuff, it's after fights, or there's a little bit of a fight in it, and it's just meant to be more realistic. So I tried to put this sort of darker persona on and realized that I couldn't. So around February, I took a small break and completely redid everything, and came out as Equinox after that. And that is how we've gotten to this. And I spent quite a bit of time like building myself and building this character, myself as creator and the character separately, even though they go by the same name.
I feel you. Especially when it comes to like being a character, because Christopher Nowalkin, totally a character. Uh, but you and I, we've talked about that. So what was your favorite one that you've done so far that's on YouTube?
Actually, one that I just posted the day that we are doing this, and it was First Warnings, which is the start of a fairy series that I have. It's a little bit almost a horror series. There's not straight up death and murder or anything, but it is almost a horror series. And without ruining anything, it does have some sort of twists and turns, and I absolutely adore it. It's also a collab piece, so the next couple parts that come out will have other voices, and I think it's got like 6 voices total. and I'm super excited about that.
Oh, nice. Can we talk about who's in it?
Sure, I have no problem with that. I have first in episode 3 is Crimson Whispers. Um, I have her beautiful voice playing a water fairy, an ashray, actually, if I remember correctly. Yes, sorry, I had to think about that. And then I have Doll VA coming in as a fire elemental. If you notice the theme here. And then I have a friend of mine from Reddit, Ahidulce, and I'm probably saying that wrong because unfortunately I had know very little Spanish. Um, and she is playing my air fairy, and then I have Ashton Mesmer from the Last Lamia actually playing um, my Earth guardian slash fairy, and then the big baddie is played by Maso Kitty. Maso Kitty ASMR, I do believe, is her name on YouTube, and she's doing that in her wonderful way of doing both a male and a female voice, and I'm kind of overlaying it so her work is double, and I feel so bad for her, but she loves me enough to do this for me, so yay.
That is awesome, and I look forward to hearing it. Guys, make sure you definitely check that out. That's going to be fire. Now, what's your favorite part about voice acting?
Honestly, I love the fact that I don't get perceived as anything, and not even because I don't show my face, but when I was in high school and in college, I did, well, and even recent in community theater, I did theater quite a bit, and I've played mostly male roles. I've sung for male roles that I couldn't play, that we had to record my voice for, like we did South Pacific in high school. And when we did the song There's Nothing Like a Dame, I had to sing that song and have it recorded like 4 or 5 times at different tones and different pitches to sound like a bunch of men. And it was just like, this is ridiculous because I'm singing this song about wanting a woman. And it was just very confusing.
Nothing wrong with that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with it, but like the reason why I was upset is because like I actually lost out on the main part because one of the parents was like, "No, that part has a kissing scene, and that's lesbianism, and lesbianism is bad." And I'm like, "But you're gonna let me sing this song? Really? What?" It was very confusing. Small town America, small town Midwest America, actually.
Yeah, that'll do it. Messing up all the fun. Um, so I've noticed, right? I when I go to your channel, right, and I click most popular. I do this with everybody that comes on the show. I go and I click most popular to see what their stuff was, and I was expecting with your channel and with especially with the panels that you were on, I was expecting to see a girlfriend roleplay be your most popular, but it's not. Your most popular was actually parental role play, and I think that's very interesting. I wanted to speak to you a little bit about that because that's the comforting sort of almost like maternal role that we find within ASMR. That whole connection right there, it really fascinates me, and I wanted to get your take on it.
I am all cool giving my take on it. I will admit, when I look at my own analytics, I have actually seen a lot of, like when I look at my search stuff, because YouTube gives you that, I see a lot of like little space ASMR. So, admittedly, if you were looking for a more not safe for work reason why a GFE would be there are a lot of people who are listening to my mommy knock stuff for that potentially not safe for work reason, because little space is a term used in a not safe for work way. But I enjoy it. It's a very natural thing for me. I have Solstice, my 4-year-old, and like tonight before this interview, I actually had to read him 4 books, 4, mind you, to get him to actually go to bed. So, I mean, for me, it's just a very natural role to step into, and it was one that I felt I could fulfill, not necessarily on a daily basis recording, but really well,
Yeah.
and people enjoy it. So
You mentioned something about him during the panel the other day that I thought was really interesting, in that he listens to ASMR and it calms him down, and that's something that really fascinates me as well. That little kids can be calmed by ASMR. I think that speaks to the power of ASMR and how just such a diverse, universal tool it can be. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean. And actually, really interestingly, I found he has learned how to skip videos on my phone because it's a touch screen. I'm not one of those older folk with a non-touch screen phone. And he has actually I've noticed he has favorites. He has people that he'll skip, or he has videos that he'll consistently skip on the playlist that I made him. So I'm thinking of revamping the playlist and getting rid of the ones that he doesn't watch. I've noticed a voice that he repeatedly goes back to every time, which is sweet and adorable in its own way, is actually Morgan Audio. And the problem with that is like I've had to very carefully select some of the ones because some of hers can get pretty deep. And with him being young, I don't want him to, you know, hear something that maybe he shouldn't hear. He also, for males, he's really picky. Shadowy Whispers is actually one of his favorites. So like those two have
Yeah,
the
boy.
most videos on that playlist, and he loves them. So it's like, okay, we're just gonna roll with it.
Yeah, man. Shadowy's the homie, so I gotta show love to him. That's amazing. Um, what's your process for writing?
Um, Spoiler alert: most of my stuff isn't written actually.
Spoilers. It's not written. So how do you come up with the story?
It depends on what I want to do. I have these little half-written napkin post-it note things that just kind of say the character that I'm going for, the feeling I want to elicit, and the situation involved. And then I try it a couple times improv, and if I can't get it right, I'll write it down and actually write a script out. Obviously, series are written, things like that. And even then, I'm not too like you can't have improv. I don't mind improv honestly. If it works for the character, roll with it. And if I don't like it, I can always tell someone, "Hey, can you please re-record the line that's written because it's required or whatever." But honestly, it depends on what I'm trying to elicit in my listener or what I'm trying to kind of get out of myself. Because sometimes when I'm recording, it's just a feeling I'm trying to get rid of, and it's me comforting myself almost because I'm not necessarily just talking to myself. I'm talking to me 30 to 45 minutes from now when I actually go to edit the piece. So it's like, what would I want to hear and how would that help me? So,
That is a very interesting process. I like that. What was the most difficult piece to make?
the most difficult piece to make thus far would have to be my piece in May. I had to think about the month. I'm sorry. It was in May, and it was the piece on Moya Moya, because that particular one, not only was it educational, so that was the easy part, but it was also very personal because Moya Moya is a disease that my mother has. It was talking about her stroke and how she changed and how that changed me. And that happened when I was 15, 16. I was very young. So, I've lived almost half my life with that sort of knowledge, and it's just that one was very emotionally hard to do because of that. So it was the hardest. That took
Yeah,
me 3 or 4 recordings because I kept crying, and I am not a pretty crier. You can tell when I'm crying, and it's not something I could get away from. So
yeah, but I feel like something like that is super important, and I'm sorry that happened.
she's still alive. She's still kicking it. She's mentally growing up. I mean, strokes are they always affect your brain. That's literally where it affects. And
Yeah,
um, physically, she's actually doing really well, and mentally, she's just kind of still a little young. It's odd that my mom is mentally younger than me most days, but I handle it,
yeah.
with the best intentions, and we just go with it from there.
You know, uh, I don't know if you're a film buff at all, but you ever seen Rocky Horror Picture Show?
My mother took me to that before her stroke when I was 15, because her stroke happened like right at the end of my 15th year. And I have seen it in theater. I have seen it on stage. I have shadow cast in it. I love that movie. So please continue.
Nice. Okay, so Tim Curry, he had a stroke back in like 2012, I believe, right? And he hasn't done any like on-screen stuff since then, but he has been doing voice acting, and he's done some really great stuff. So it's really cool seeing him, still just absolutely killing it after. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I have followed his work for many, many years. The first thing I absolutely loved seeing him in was actually Legend when I was young, and the idea of glitter was a really cool thing. And then as I got older and realized just how much glitter was used in that movie, I'm like, little much, guy.
Like he did some voices in Star Wars, Clone Wars, um, which are just tremendous. He's still got that voice and still got that presence.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit from my childhood, my favorite voice he's ever done is still Nigel Thornberry because smashing. Just saying.
Ah, my favorite movie. All right, it's probably because I went and saw it in the theater when I was a kid. Uh, because I'm very old, unlike what you thought the other day. I'm very old. Was a movie called Three Musketeers. It had him, and it had like Oliver Platt, and it had like Chris O'Donnell in it. And it was,
Yeah, I know which one you talk about.
I love that movie so much. And he played the bad guy in it. Oh, it was so good.
He does play a really good bad guy, to be completely honest.
Yeah, he does. He's amazing. I don't know how we got on to Tim Curry, but that's amazing. What are some of your favorite
Stroke.
movies?
Stroke got us onto Tim Curry. Favorite movies. It kind of sort of depends what mood I'm in. Like if I'm in a chick flick mood, I absolutely love Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood. If I'm in a fantasy mood, Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, even though I have some serious issues with some liberties they took on The Hobbit, but continue. If I'm in a sci-fi or a space mood, I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
I love Star Wars as well.
I remember going to see episode 3 when it came out like 3 or 4 times
Yeah.
in a row in the theater, just loving it. And then, when 7 and 8 have come out, and obviously when 9 comes out, I will be there with bells on to see the end of this because it is a thing in my life.
Me too, man. I remember 99 going and seeing the I was 11 years old going to see episode 1, and I was so excited. And when you're 11, you don't care about plot or anything like that. You freaking Star Wars is on the screen, man. Like so I just remember loving that movie as a kid. And of course, as you get older, you're like, well, some of this stuff is kind of dumb. But as far as like the prequels, like I didn't like episode 1 or 2 as an adult looking back. But I do love episode 3. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I mean it people argue about episodes 1 through 3 because, well, Darth Vader was a whiny, and I'm like, you know what, he was ripped away from his mom at 10. He was essentially told he couldn't be a Jedi, and then he was breaking rules to be a Jedi. And I kind of feel like maybe they just set him up for a failure, to be completely honest.
Yeah, kinda. But
The other thing, oh sorry.
uh yeah, the other thing about that is like the as far as like the lore of like that whole time period, a lot of the really great stuff was on TV in like the Clone Wars. So if you ever watch that show, it's
I have,
it's
yes.
it's so good. Like Ahsoka is a freaking queen. Like it's so good.
Yeah, I've seen it. Admittedly, for me, some of the best stuff was in the extended universe that no longer even exists because Disney bought them out. Like the books and stuff. And like, part of the reason why I feel like Anakin was set up for failure was, the idea of not being able to love and not being able to have love. But like at the same time, if you read those books, like Obi-Wan had love, Obi-Wan had these attachments, and he's not as perfect as he seems.
Yeah.
The inner nerd in me was like, why didn't we bring some of that in instead of bringing in midi-chlorians? Cough, cough, cough.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. There are so many great things from Legends. That's what they call it now. But like Legends, that is like just great stuff that I wish they would have kept some of it. Like Like, there's no more Mara Jade, you know. And she was introduced in that whole like heir to the Empire like trilogy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love those books. Uh,
Well, for me, not only is there no Mara Jade, there's no Revan, there's no Bastila. There, like the games even are just completely thrown out the window. And it's like, but these were really good games. And then when you look at Rey and Kylo and some of the sort of parallels between those old games, it's like, are you bringing this back in a half-arsed way? Like, what are you doing here? Like, just give me my lore back, dang it.
well, I think they're bringing back stuff slowly. Like they brought back what's his face in Rebels, uh, the big baddie guy, um, big bad blue guy.
Maul? No, not Maul. No, that's not Maul. Sorry,
No, big bad
because
blue,
that was in Solo.
the blue dude whose name is escaping me in the middle of a recording. Good
Oh,
job,
oh
Chris.
no. The bad part is I can see the character too.
Put it in the comments if you know who we're talking about. There you go. That's how you do it. If you don't know what you're talking about, ask the comments. That's how we do it. So, what are some of the what's in store for the future of Equinox Audio?
I have some bigger projects planned, like I talked about in one of the panels. I have a Halloween thing that I want to do, but it is just so big and it's going to require so much work. Like, I don't envy y'all who did TingleCon because oh my gosh, this is just so much work. But that one is something that I want to get done. I know it's not going to get done this year, so it will be something that I work over the next year. I have a couple series that I've written, that I'm looking at kind of getting ready to put out there and to see if I can get someone else to help me with other voices. Up until now, I'll admit I've been very timid on collaborations, and it's for a mildly, weirdly selfish reason, I guess. Selfish, selfless, I don't know what the term is. I didn't want to do collaborations up until now just because I didn't want people to think that I was trying to climb the ladder using someone else's success. So I kind of waited purposely until I had at least 100 subscribers on YouTube to put out any of my real big collaborations, because I just didn't want to be that guy, you know.
Yeah, I feel you. I
I mean,
feel you.
all told, in the future, I've got quite a few collaborations. I have scripts upon scripts upon scripts of big ideas that I've written. Like, I have one that I have written that is 22 episodes long. It is, I'm looking right at it. Hold on. It is 130,000 words. It's about 130 minutes worth of audio. I've got another one that requires just a male voice, and it's actually life and death talking to each other. And that one's a radio drama that doesn't have a listener role. And that one is nearly 90 minutes of audio. Like, the problem is a lot of these are long because they're very deep, fleshed out ideas. And I'm just not at that level where I can confidently go up to someone and be like, hey, I can't technically pay you anything, but I would absolutely love you to do this work with me. Like, I'm not at that level yet where I can, point blank, I'm not at like Cardlin or Shadowy level where I can just be like, hey, I really want you in this, come work with me, please. Like, I can't do that yet.
You will be though. You're gonna be there, and I'm gonna be like, I told you.
You won't be the only person telling me I told you so. Trust me. There's a couple people who's going to listen to this that are going to be like, yeah, we told you too.
Yeah, man.
Germán.
No, it sounds like you're saying Germán. What is Germán? Sounds like jamón. It's an A. Germán.
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 That's why I said that. An.
Okay, now Germán.
Germán.
Very good.
Are
No,
you-
that's how you.
Nobody clip that. If anybody clipped that, I will come find you.
Oh, wait, I'm gonna clip that. Wait, give me a second.
So, let's put a nice little bow on it. And where can the people find you on the social medias?
I have my Twitter, which I believe I think it's Audio Equinox is my handle on Twitter. I have to remember exactly how it's put out. I have my new Instagram, which you can find in the description of my videos, because I don't remember my name on that. I think it's EquinoxAudio, but Lord knows. I do have my Patreon, but obviously that's not like a go-to, you have to get that, because that's just kind of a thing I have. I don't have a public Discord yet, mainly because small YouTuber, and I don't really see myself having the time right now to be able to properly be there for my fans. But I do also have a Reddit that you can contact me on, and I am EquinoxAudio on that. And then obviously on YouTube as EquinoxAudio. And yeah, that's my social media.
That's all the social medias, you guys. Make sure you follow them and press all the buttons, and make sure that you go and you subscribe to EquinoxAudio. You got to do that right now. If you don't do that right now, you suck at life and we hate you or something.
I don't, but at the same time, it would be very nice if you did do that.
She's gonna be nice about it. I'm not gonna. So but yeah, thank you so much for coming in today. Guys, here's the thing. If you like what we did today, and you're like, oh my god, I love this, Dirty Nerdy Show is amazing, Christopher Now Walking, you sir are a genius. First of all, I know, thank you. Secondly, make sure you go ahead and you hit that like button. And you hit that like button, you're like, oh my god, what do I do now? I don't even know what to do. Well, here's what you do. You go and you grab that subscribe button by the balls, okay? And then you just, you flick that bell. And you're like, bell, you have been rung. All right? And then you're like, oh my god, what else can I do to support the show? You go and you look at the merch store at Teespring. Links will be down below. And then you're like, hey, I'm gonna get a TDNS shirt or a TDNS mug. And I'm gonna like sit here and I'm gonna sip the tea while Christopher Not Walking gives me the tea. And it's gonna be something tea. There you go. But that's how you do it. But guys, thank you so much. My name is Christopher Not Walking. That is Equinox. Equinox, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I really do appreciate it.
You are more than welcome. I've had tons of fun.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Guys, thank you so much. Christopher Not Walking, EquinoxAudio. This is the Dirty Nerdy Show. We will see you in the next one. We are out of here. Bye-bye.
Thank you. That's so sweet. My heart sucks. I need to work on that.